Joining me now is Andrew Rasiulis, retired official with the Department of National Defense. Andrew, good morning. As always, great to see you.
Morning.
What do you think was the big takeaway from the weekend talks in Florida?
Well, that they're still talking and that Witkoff is going to Moscow. Now, we have no details, but we have postulations. Basically, there are two very fundamental issues to be resolved, and we'll see if they will be resolved. There's no guarantee. But one is the territorial disposition of the land that Russia occupies in eastern Ukraine. There is that delicate issue of the fortress belt in Donetsk. The Russians want the Ukrainians to pull back voluntarily. They're prepared to establish a DMZ there, a demilitarized zone, with no Russian troops, but under Russian authority. That's a very delicate matter that is being constantly discussed. Now, the other side of the equation is for the part of Ukraine that will be left sovereign. The question then becomes the security guarantees for that part of Ukraine, how that part of Ukraine can survive, avoid another war, and develop its own economy and government and prosper. So that's an issue, and that comes down to security guarantees. Because clearly the Russians will not accept Ukraine in NATO, but there may be some moves to accept bilateral security guarantees, perhaps even legally binding, from the United States. That's what's on the table right now. I believe that Witkoff is traveling to Moscow with.
Yeah, I want to get to that in just a second, but I just quickly want to pick up on something you said. In terms of concessions, do you think that Ukraine is going to have to give in to giving up some of this territory that Russia has not even already taken, Andrew?
Yeah. So I think that in the big picture, the roughly 20% that the Russians are sitting on today, they will keep because Ukraine militarily is not able to dislodge them. So it's a matter of fact. That doesn't mean Ukraine will recognize it legally, what's called de jure. And I don't think that the agreement will push them there. I think everyone's agreed, understanding that it'll be a de facto understanding. The way West Germany understood that East Germany was de facto within the Russian Soviet sphere of influence, that kind of relationship. So they don't actually formally recognize it, but they accept it as a matter of life. Now, but the issue of the Donbass, that fortress belt, that's the delicate one because the Russians are saying, Ukraine, you pull back or we will attack and take it out. Yeah, it'll take a long time, but there's the rub. Now, can the Russians be persuaded to sort of just accept the line where it is and not take that oblast? That's a delicate matter right now.
So Trump continues to sound optimistic as he sends Steve Witkoff there. And forgive me if I sound cynical. Do you think Putin is committed to ending this war? How do you think that he will react when U.S. officials are there on the ground in Moscow about ending this war?
Oh, yes. Very, very carefully. Putin is very committed to ending this war on his own terms. Okay, so that's very important. He wants peace, but he wants peace on his terms. Now, will Witkoff come to Moscow tomorrow with terms that Putin can accept? That remains to be seen. I suspect, in all probability, the Russians will provide a counteroffer, so that the offer that they're leaving Florida with, the Ukrainians are semi-okay with. I think the Russians will fine-tune that, maybe radically alter it. I don't know, but I think we're still into a dynamic negotiations right now, back and forth, and it may not be over very quickly, but we'll see if it keeps progressing.
Andrew, just wanted to get your take lastly on why Steve Witkoff is so key in the Trump administration to creating peace. We saw him there during the talks and ending the war in Gaza. Now he's being sent to Russia. Why not Marco Rubio?
Because Trump trusts Witkoff. Witkoff is a personal friend of his. They go back to the 80s. And it's not uncommon in history for leaders, when they're dealing with very delicate matters, to actually not rely on traditional diplomacy or traditional diplomats, like Rubio represents the State Department, and they go outside to someone they can really depend on to carry forward the views of the president, of the leader in this case, the president. Other presidents have done the same thing. I can go through a history of them. But, Kissinger was first doing that for Nixon before he got into the government proper. FDR had a number of people working for him. And Wilson had this other colonel guy who worked for him as well at the Paris peace talks. So, yeah, this is not unprecedented.
Andrew Rasiulis is a retired official with the Department of National Defense. Andrew, really appreciate your time with us this morning. We'll talk to you again.